Hi, it's Jerry, and we're back with some C# training, and we're going to continue with some loops. What you see on the screen, is the fragment with the conditional statement, and hopefully this is more or less enough for you to understand this. If not, then please let me know, and maybe I'll give another example or two. But this will be actually useful for a game that will probably create either at the end of this training, or maybe next one, and will be a small game. Just guess what number am I thinking. Yeah, so we're going to create a small game. And second of all, I'm going to use a conditional statement to actually organize the code a bit. So I'll just say if false, and I'm really okay with doing this because I just want to have everything here. So and I'll put a comment, make this true to run this block of code, right? And then I'll put a region around it, region, right? And then conditional null statements and user input, or user input and conditional statements. I end the region here. And one thing that you might notice here, in the previous example we used an if and there was always an else, but this is not required, so you can just have a simple if and then nothing else. So you run the code as long as this is true, and well, you don't run this code and then go on running other code elsewise. So you just omit this code if whatever inside here, the expression here, and I told you the expression is, well, it might be some operations, mathematical operations, Boolean operations, well, an expression, right? So something that returns a value, and the value is, if the value is true, then the block of code below will be run, and if not, then it won't, right? Okay, so we can now fold this so that we have the conditional statements and user input there. And I'm actually, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, because then if you run the code, and it might happen that some variables have the same names, and because I thought maybe I'll just comment it out and then I can make any variables. So yeah, maybe we'll run into some problems, but hopefully not. Okay, so now what we want to do is loops. So imagine that you want to have a program that repeats a certain operation a couple of times. Just imagine such a program. So we have an a equal to 1, or maybe 2, yeah? And then you want to say, like, okay, console right line, right? And then just have consecutive powers of 2. So we'll say like 2 to the power of, and then we'll have this plus 0 plus, and then is equal to, and then we'll have plus, and then math power, right? Oh, come on. And then we want 2 and 0 like this. Very nice. Okay, and we already have an a. Yeah, great. So we'll do like this. We don't have to declare it because a was already declared, and a was 8. What is your problem? What is your problem? Oh, okay. So I'll call it I. Yep, I told you. So to the power, and then we'll just put I here. Right. Yeah. Very good. Okay. So yeah, and then we want to repeat it a couple of times. Say whatever, like this amount of times, and part one, part two, part three, four, part five, something like this, and then part five, part four, part two, that's good. Maybe let's put I here as well. I like this, like this. Very nice. This. Okay, and so on. Okay, very good. Okay, so now we just show like 5 powers of 2, actually 6. Yeah. So 2 to the power of 0 is 1, and the power of 1 is 2, 2 is 4, 3 is 8, 4 is 16, 5 is 32, and so on. Well, just imagine that you want to see all the powers of 2 from like 0 to, I don't know, 26. That's not too much. Okay, 100. Right? That's a lot, right? There's a lot of writing, and then you have to change the numbers here and there. And well, so yeah. So um, without loops. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the simplest loop. So we'll comment this out. So we're going to start. Yeah, so we have this 2 here declared. This is without loops. Alright, so we'll comment this out, and then we'll actually create the first loop. And then we need another variable, let's call it j, so int j, right? So we're going to start with 0, because we had a 0 here, right? Oh, we just want to start with 0. And then a loop, maybe I'll write or draw another diagram. So let me just quickly do that. Okay, so I have another diagram. So here it is, and that's how it looks like. So we have a condition just like in an if statement, so a conditional statement. So this condition will let us know whether we should enter the loop or not, right? So this condition again can be true or false, right? And then the condition, if it's true, then it performs some operations, just like in an if statement. But after the operations are done, we're not going further with the code, but we're going back to the condition and check whether it's still true. So it goes in a loop as long as the condition is true. Of course, the condition might be dependent on a variable. That's why we actually created this j, and you'll probably understand that in a second. So it might depend on a variable, or depend on the situation, might depend on the user input, might depend on whatever you think of, right? So if something changes in the when those operations are being performed, then the condition might be false, and then you're going out of the loop and then go on with the rest of the code, right? So let's write that in code. So here I'm just going to say, and I'll try to replicate the same idea here. So now we'll actually try to do so. So the first loop is a while loop. While. So this is just the same as if. So instead of saying if, you can say while, and now then we have to have a condition, and we'll just have something mathematical. So j is smaller than 6, right? So 0 is smaller than 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is smaller than 6. So all these are smaller than 6, but 6 is not smaller than 6, right? And we open the block of code just as we did with the conditional statement. So we have the block of code, and this is what will be our performed operations, right? So here, first of all, we want to figure out how to change the circumstances. So first, this j was 0, then 1, 2, 3, so we'll be just incrementing j. So I'll say j plus plus, or I can say plus plus j. Doesn't matter here, right? So this will be performed as long as j is less than 6. J will be incremented, and then we'll go out of the loop at some point, right? And then we'll just copy this line, right? So we'll have I, right, to the power of, and now instead of 0, we'll just put j here, right, and j here, right? And then if we run it, right, then we will see the same result, right? So the same result, and just to show you that this is the same result, I'm going to uncomment this like this, and then let's just console write line without loops. Okay, yep. And then with while loop, single loop. Okay, so let's run the program, and you can see, okay, so without loops looks like this, with while loop looks like this, so it's just the same, right? But of course this code is a bit shorter, and well, it looks nicer, right? And then if I was to do it like this, so let's just go 26 as I said, and let's just comment this out because we don't want this here. Okay, we want to say like 26 powers of 2. Boom. Here you go. Now you would have to do a lot of copy pasting for this, and just to make it even better, let's go 100. I hope this will work. Didn't crash. Yes. Whoa. Very nice. So yeah. All the powers of 2. From 0 to 99. Okay, so that's the first loop. Okay, now we can change our loop design slightly. And let me just change the diagram first, and I'll show you how to change the while loop so that is a bit, well, it's a bit different, right? So give me a sec. Okay, so here we have the diagram. It's changed a bit. So first of all, we perform some operations. So we don't even check the condition. We perform some operations, and then so at least once we will perform these operations, and then we check the condition, and then either perform these operations again if the condition is true, or exit the code, exit the loop and go on with the rest of the code, right? So this is a loop that performs the operations at least once, because here we could say like, okay, if j is greater than 10, right? And that would result in nothing, right? Because nothing within this loop will be executed because this is false. So the loop is just omitted, right? And with this design, so perform operations first, and then check the condition, and then re-loop, then if in such case you need to perform some operations and then later on check whether these operations need to be repeated, this might be actually a bit wiser, right? Something like this. So perform this at least once and then check whether you should redo these operations. So let's do that here. So we will leave this while, but we will move it below, like here. We need, no, we don't need that column, but we need to say do. Yeah, we need that column. Okay, very nice. So this is just the same thing as in the diagram, just the condition is on the bottom. So we say do something, so perform operations, and we don't care whether the condition is true or not. We will check that at the end. I mean, at the end of the loop. So we will perform this, even though this was false, right? And then, yeah, and then we'll exit the loop, of course, because this is false, right? But actually, we'll perform the operations and then check the condition, right? And either when this is true, then it will repeat the actions, and if it's false, then we're not going to repeat these actions, right? So that's how we are going to go with this. So let's test this, and as you can see, we just performed this once, right? Because then it checked the condition here, and it got a j that is equal to 1, which is not greater than 10 than 100. So, but it didn't do that, right? Okay. Yeah. So that's the do while loop. So let me just combine these two so that you have this in the notes. Okay. So we have two loops that we can use. So the while loop, and I've just organized some code here and some code here. So now you can actually start playing around with these. This is the simplest example that I could think of, but now I can actually give you your first assignment, because the third kind of loops that we will go through, we will learn on the next video probably. So let me give you an assignment, and here's your homework. So let me write it out. So here's the assignment. So you're supposed to write a game. What number am I thinking of? And the program should have a value, a number stored somewhere in a variable, right? It should be just an integer, and don't try to even make it a random number. We'll probably I'll show you how I did it, and then I'll show you how to generate a random number. Don't bother about random numbers at the moment. We're just trying to play around with the loops and conditional statements here. So you're supposed to ask the user that the program is supposed to consecutively, so ask the user all the time for a number, and then say whether the number is too high or too low compared to the number stored in that variable, so the number that the user needs to guess. And of course, if the user guesses the number, you should just write out congratulations, you win, or some kind of congratulations, right? And you can finish the program. So there needs to be a loop for sure that will just ask the user consecutively, please enter a number, right? Then there needs to be a conditional statement, and probably some kind of parsing the value. Of course, please try to write a program where if I write Jerry, it won't crash. Okay, so that will be great. Okay, and have fun. And well, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and see you next time with my idea of how I would write such a game. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. Cheers.